Okay, I'm going to go ahead and kick us off. Hello, everyone. So wonderful to have you with us this evening. My name is Stephanie Foner, and I work in the Alumni Relations Office on the Affinity and Domestic Engagement team at Northeastern, where it is my responsibility and my pleasure to bring events and programs to the wider Northeastern community. And we have a very special presentation for this evening. So first, just a couple housekeeping items. Please make sure you are staying muted through the course of the evening just to maintain the sound quality. There will be time at the end of the presentation for questions and answers. And at that time, please go ahead and put your questions into the chat box and I will read those out loud. And I will be monitoring the chat box through the course of the event. So if you are having any issues, please feel free to private message me and we will try to handle those. As you can see, the event is being recorded and you will be receiving the recording of the event by the end of this week. And then lastly, automated transcription services are available in this event if you need that support. You can hide or show the subtitles and the live transcription panel via the CC Live button in the bottom toolbar. This event is being hosted by the Northeastern Atlanta community, the alumna leader of the community, Teresa Rodriguez, who will be introducing our guest speaker. So now it's my pleasure to hand the floor over to Teresa. Oh, Teresa, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. I hope everyone is doing just great and getting ready for the holidays. I'm very excited. I have the opportunity to introduce Dr. Ramona Houston. Ramona is a scholar. She's a strategist, speaker, and host of the Empowerment Zone podcast. Ramona is passionate about solving social challenges, which is really what we're going to be talking about today. She's also the founder and chief strategist of Calira Strategies, and that's a boutique consulting firm that helps corporations, businesses, and public figures elevate their brands and grow their business through social impact. Ramona is a champion of social responsibility, diversity, inclusion, and accessibility to racial and social justice, which is something I'm also passionate about. She is a graduate of the University of Texas with a PhD in history. She's also a graduate of Clark Atlanta University with a BA in Spanish and history. Ramona is a native of Brownwood, Texas, and she currently lives here in Atlanta, Georgia, just like myself. And Ramona, you can take it away.
Thank you so much, Teresa, for that warm introduction. It is such a pleasure to be here. Of course, I want to start off by expressing my gratitude to several individuals. First, I'd like to thank Teresa Rodriguez for introducing me to the Office of Alumni Relations at Northeastern. I would like to acknowledge and thank Stephanie Foner, Associate Director of Alumni Relations, for inviting me to serve as a speaker and helping with organizing this particular effort. I am particularly thrilled to be a part of this Alumni Association outreach and engagement efforts because I am a former national president of my alumni association, Clark Atlanta University in Atlanta, Georgia, which is a historically Black college in Atlanta. As you know, alumni do so much to promote and advance our alma maters and higher education. And so I commend all of you alumni out there who are engaged with Northeastern University, because as you know, alumni are the foundation of any institution. We are truly the pillars. We help engage other alumni. We help retain alumni in that engagement. We assist in recruiting students. We provide scholarships, found our own scholarships, as well as support those that already exist. We use our influence within our networks and within the different groups that we are in order to bring support or further the support at our institution. We are mentors. We open doors for students. Of course, we donate. Should I repeat that, Stephanie? We donate financially to our institutions. And most of all, above all, we represent. We are truly the products of the institutions that we attend. And what is the best way to promote your institution than being a representative of them? So for all these reasons and many more, it is always a pleasure to support Alumni Association outreach and engagement efforts. I'd also like to thank Northeastern Illinois University for providing this platform for such an important conversation. I appreciate all of the board members, alumni, faculty, staff, and students, as well as business and community members and leaders who are here to learn more about social responsibility. And I would also like to acknowledge the Office of Alumni Relations and their team for organizing this event. And then I understand that there are some VIPs that plan to attend. I welcome you. I would also like to acknowledge Richard O'Brien, Director of the John O'Brien African American Institute at Northeastern. And lastly, I'd like to acknowledge and thank the College Strategies team, Amari Lilton, and all the others who support this work. So welcome to this discussion on the power of social responsibility. I'm a scholar and social impact strategist, and my team and I are here to help businesses, organizations, and individuals and corporations who want to incorporate social responsibility into their business growth strategy, as well as use their power and platforms to make a social impact. Now, as a person who does a lot of speaking, I welcome your engagement. I believe that no one has a monopoly on knowledge and that everybody can contribute to the learning process. So please do put your comments or your questions in the chat box or the Q&A box, as Stephanie has already indicated. I look forward to the conversation after the presentation so that we can engage more on social responsibility. So let's begin by first defining what social responsibility is. Now, I am a big proponent and believe that all of us should be involved in social responsibility. Social responsibility is the business practice of contributing to the well-being of societies. Now, I believe that businesses are a critical stakeholder and must invest in their communities. And I believe that all business enterprises, no matter your size, have the capacity and the responsibility to serve your community, invest in your community, and solve social problems. So many times we think, I'm only one person, how can I make a difference? But whether you are a one-person business or a business with thousands of employees, you can engage in social responsibility. I believe that everyone, no matter who you are in a position to give. And social responsibility is all about giving. And it is a fact that businesses must be solutions to social and economic challenges that face our local communities, nation, and world. So let's look at the principles of social responsibility. There are primarily four basic principles of social responsibility. Businesses are a vital constituency and stakeholder of the community. Now, if you look at the community, there are primarily three basic stakeholders. One is government, the other are nonprofits, and the last one is the business sector. And each has a role in the community. Secondly, another principle is that businesses have the responsibility to contribute to the communities where they're served. So along with the other two sectors, government and nonprofits, businesses must contribute to their communities. Now, when I use the term communities, community can mean your local community, it can be your national community, or the global community. So let's give an example, such as a corporation from the home team of Atlanta, Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is a global brand, and therefore their community is global. Not only do they give, since they're based here in Atlanta, they give to Atlanta organizations, but they also do a lot of work in terms of social responsibility throughout the nation and world. Third, the principle of social responsibility is that businesses must create healthy, fair, safe, and enjoyable work environments for all employees. So social responsibility is a lot about what you do inside of your organization and how you treat your employees. And then lastly, businesses must preserve, protect, and conserve the environment. That is another principle of social responsibility. So preservation is about what you do within your company. And conservation is how your company relates to the environment or sustainability. So these are the four primary principles of social responsibility. So now let's look at the many practices of social responsibility. As I stated previously, social responsibility is an inside-outside game. So it really matters what you do within your company as well as what you do outside of your company. So most important to any social responsibility effort is that you must be authentic, because people can see when you're inauthentic and not being genuine about your social responsibility efforts. So let's look at the various practices of social responsibility. First, you have philanthropy, and that's the way you give financially to organizations you believe in, causes you believe in, just giving your, what we call your tithes. A lot of people are getting a different definition of tithing now. It's not just about what you give to the church, but what you give to organizations that do good in the community. So your tithe could actually go to Northeastern if you look at philanthropy. Next is community engagement. Community engagement is, it can be defined in various ways. It could be how volunteerism, actually going out and volunteering for different organizations. It could be board service. A lot of companies are now encouraging their employees to get on boards, and they're also placing them on boards. It could be being present for important community meetings and events. And that's really community participation and engagement. And it's also about being a resource for your community. So many times organizations are looking for places to host their various programs and events. Companies can engage in the community, but by volunteering to have their venue as a host for their event. The next part of next practice of social responsibilities is ethical business and labor practices. As I stated earlier, one of the principles of social responsibility is creating a healthy, fair, and safe work environment. But not only do you want to create a fair environment, you want to also make sure that you engage in diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility efforts. And you want to work with suppliers who have ethical business practices. So you want to make sure that you work with businesses that support, child labor and fair wages and everything. So that's why you can look at ethical business and labor practices as a part of that inside-outside game. Next is environmental sustainability, and that is about conserving and protecting the environment. And then lastly is racial and social justice. And that is more of a recent phenomenon. Many people ask, why has racial and social justice now become a part of social responsibility? And it's due to the social and economic disruption that the pandemic caused and the vivid realities of America recognizing its racial and social inequities and disparities and seeking to correct them. So racial and social justice has moved from and DE&I has moved from HR practices and now seen as a part of social responsibility. And then also, if we look, the other question about why racial and social justice has become a part of social responsibility is because we have begun to recognize that racial and social inequities affect all of us and also has an impact on the business and American economy. So there was a recent study, and I encourage everyone who is interested in it to Google it. It was a report published by Citibank last year, closing the racial inequity gaps, the cost of Black inequality in the US. And what the whole argument is that there was an economic cost to racism. So if 4 key racial gaps for Blacks only had been closed, such as wages, education, housing, and investment, if they were closed 20 years ago, $16 trillion could have been added to the US economy. And if they were closed today, $5 trillion could be added to the US GDP over the next 5 years. So if you look at racial and social justice in an economic terms, you see why it has become a part of social responsibility. So no matter what element of social responsibility your company chooses to address, the goal is always the same: social impact. And so the question becomes, how is your company moving the needle of social impact? Businesses who embrace social responsibility, as you can see, they're filling a business need and they're feeling a social need. So businesses must lead in the effort for doing social good. So what we find through social responsibility is that businesses can make money and they can make impact. And that is what we are focusing on, is how can we get more people to embrace social responsibility and not just be interested in making money, but making impact. So if you look at social responsibility, there are various reasons why people should be involved in social responsibility. Not only is it the right thing to do, but it's also good for business. And since social responsibility is an inside-outside game, it benefits your company and it benefits the communities you serve. So let's explore the various benefits and the value of embracing social responsibility and designing and executing a social impact strategy in your organization. One, it strengthens your company. You're able to attract and retain all types of employees. And we know from research that people, especially millennials, want to work with companies that value and treat them well as companies that do good in the community. Another strength is it increases productivity in your organization by increasing satisfaction among employees. Happy employees make great business returns. They generate loyal customers because people want to spend their money with companies that do good. It attracts investors because investors want to invest in companies that have a high ESG rating, or also called environmental, social, and governance ratings. They have better financial performance because they're able to attract and retain good employees. They have loyal customers and they have great investors. And lastly, it strengthens your company because increased community engagement encourages people to be active in their communities. Another reason is it maximizes your social impact. So therefore, if you're really involved in social responsibility, you know you can't just greenwash issues through a check. You're actually engaged. There's no more willy-nilly giving. It builds your community because you make your community better. It enhances your brand because you build your reputation as a business owner or as a business or organization. And above all, it enriches your legacy. You leave an important imprint on and impression on your community. So these are the various reasons that people find value in engaging in social responsibility. And as you know, every company wants loyal customers, devoted employees, and willing investors. And so that is why it is so important to invest in social responsibility, because businesses that embrace social responsibility receive these benefits, and consequently, social responsibility has become an essential business strategy. So I believe that every business should have a social impact strategy, a philanthropic, purpose-driven intention. That's supposed to be intention. It says invention, excuse me, intention to make an impact on society. A strategy is well thought out. It's a carefully designed plan of action, and your social impact strategy goes hand in hand with your business strategy. So in essence, businesses must be the change. And to create a viable community, nation, and world, we must all be the change. So here we're going to discuss how can we be the change. Now, as you can see, I've been talking about businesses, but all of us work for some entity. We work for corporations, we work for businesses. Some of us are entrepreneurs. Some of us work in nonprofit organizations. Many of us work in government. No matter where you are, you as an individual are the ones who create change in your institutions, because institutions are made of individuals. So the question becomes, how can we be more involved in social responsibility efforts as individuals and as institutions? So I've outlined 3 strategies that I would suggest. And then I have some ideas for how you can be involved in social impact. So strategy number 1 is, first, you must develop your mental framework. And this framework the strategy number 1 is for both individuals and organizations. So first, you've got to know your why. There is a TEDx talk by Simon Sinek called Start With Why that I would suggest everyone check out in YouTube. And your why will really give you the reason for your wanting to be involved in social impact. Now, some of us, it's altruistic. We just want to do good. Some people, it's all about the money. I want to have a competitive advantage in my business. I have a business case for being involved in social responsibility. Some of us truly embrace service and giving. And then some of us like to just be the leaders in change. And so whatever your rationale or your reasoning is for developing a social responsibility strategy, you must begin with your why. And that's your why can be as an individual, like I said, or an organization. So referring to that Citibank, referencing the Citibank report that I discussed earlier, their why was because they wanted to advance the American economy. And so that's why they wanted to choose racial and social justice as a part of their social responsibility or their social impact strategy. 2, begin with mind. All change begins within. And so when you talk about within, I mean within you as an individual. If you want to make a change in terms of social responsibility, you have to begin in mind. And then you have the collective mind, which is the people in the company or in your institution, that you all get together and decide that, yes, we want to make a difference and we want to be involved in social impact. And then 3rd, begin with the end in mind. You have to have a vision. What is your vision as an individual in social responsibility? What is your vision as an institution or organization? You cannot produce what you cannot see. What type of person do you want to be? What type of organization do you want to be? Those are the kind of things you need to think about when you look at begin with the end in mind. So strategy number 2. This is for the individual specifically. You as an individual have to embrace your own individual responsibilities in terms of advancing social responsibility. As I stated earlier, people make institutions. And so therefore, people are the ones who create change. And so in strategy number 2, education is important. You've got to develop your power, and that means you have to understand the issues that exist and figure out, learn, seek knowledge, study, and try to figure out the change that or the strategies you can use in order to create the change. The whole issue with education is figuring out the solution. How can I be a solution to whatever social issue I want to address? Or how can my organization or how can I encourage my organization or workplace to be a solution? And then next, as an individual, is education, and then there's inspiration. You have to use your power to influence others and the way they think within about social responsibility, social impact, and being the change. You have influence, like I stated earlier. Alumni have influence in terms of creating support in their institution. And so you have to not only develop your power, you have to use your power. And then 3rd, this strategy is for organizations. Embrace your responsibilities. So now that we've explored how individuals can and organizations can work together and individuals, now let's look at the organization itself. Leadership matters. No matter how big or small or complex your organization is, leadership matter. And leadership matters on all levels of your institution, from your board to your CEO or president, to the executives, to the management, to the staff. The work in advancing social impact and social responsibility persist throughout your leadership. So leaders sell the vision, they set the tone, they determine the standards of the organization, they inspire their teams, and they ensure that the team reaches their benchmarks in social responsibility. So through your leadership, the purpose or mission or the vision permeates throughout the entire organization. Leadership matters. So my father, he's a big leadership man, and I grew up with him always talking about these 5 levels of leadership. And he always instilled in us, his children, that these 5 levels. So 1 is leader, 2 is contributor, 3 is participant, 4 is observer, and 5 is distractor. And after my experience of being in one organization, which shall remain nameless, I've added a 6th which is destroyer. So that is leader, contributor, participant, observer, distractor, and destroyer. You have to determine what type of leader you will be. And my father always encouraged his children to operate on the top 2 levels of leadership. So no matter what organization we were in, we were supposed to be a leader or contributor. We could be a participant, but the expectation was the first 2 levels, but we were never to operate on the last 2 levels of leadership. So leaders matter within the organization. 2, a strategy, the second strategy for organizations is really about community. Part of social responsibility is being involved and connected in your community. Businesses, as I stated, are a valuable stakeholder in the community, and they're not separate from it. A lot of businesses come in and take, and not give. So organizations should definitely be connected to their communities. And then lastly, another strategy in terms of social responsibility for the organization is that as you put leaders in place who embrace social responsibility and you foster an organizational, you connect with the community, you must begin to create an organizational culture that champions social responsibility, that champions giving and service. Organizations determine their customs, their attitudes, their behaviors, and that is all about culture. And so organizations determine what is acceptable and not acceptable. And your organization must decide what type of culture it will create. So again, we've got to be the change. And in the last few moments, I'm going to get away from the slides and talk about some of the steps that you could possibly institute in becoming a leader in social responsibility as an individual and as you lead your various organizations and companies. One is that you can identify a social problem. So before you can begin to address a problem, you must first identify which problem you want to address. In social responsibility, you can't do everything. You cannot be everything to everybody. So you want to choose an issue or issues that you are passionate about, or and that your organization can be passionate about, or that your organization's talents and mission are directly connected to that particular mission. So the first is figure out what social problem you want to address so that you won't be all over the place in terms of doing good in your community. And you've seen a lot of corporations and businesses now
Ramona,
saying,
you're breaking up a bit.
okay. Can you hear me better now? Hello? 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 Can you hear me?
You're good. I think it may have been on my end.
Oh, okay. Okay, let me Stephanie, can you tell me where I should start or where you could not hear?
I'm now a little uncertain. I think it may have been on my end and not on your end.
Okay. So I will start with the steps. So I was on identify social problem that you want to address, that you can't, you as an individual and you as a company can't address everything. So you have to figure out what is the social problem or problems or challenges that I want to address as an individual. Start there. So that's one step you can take. Two, in terms of ideas, is decide and commit. A lot of people, they kind of don't ever make the decision that they want to be a solution. So you have to decide that you want to be a solution and commit to the issue. Commit to being a change. Another idea is participate and create educational programs that help people to better understand social challenges and its various solutions. So therefore, they want to engage. And that's why educational programs are so important, because you can actually inform people and get their buy-in as an organization. How can I get the many people in my institution or organization to actually want to be involved in social responsibility efforts? The other is transforming your company culture and create an environment that really promotes giving. And when you have a culture that promotes giving, then everybody embraces, or the majority of people embrace volunteering. They embrace coming out of their pocket and giving to causes. I know a lot of companies nowadays are doing campaigns with United Way. Or campaigns for various causes, or getting them to volunteer for events. I know here in Atlanta, the Latin American Association does an educational conference every year. And one of the great things about this conference is that companies all over Atlanta actually have their individuals donating and being volunteers for those particular events. So that's all about culture. Also, being innovative. We have, as a society, as individuals, we have to reimagine the type of world that we want to create. And if we're going to create a new world that engages all people and really provides good, we've got to develop fresh ideas and methods for creating change. Five, another step that you can take in terms of advancing social responsibility is developing internal strategies that work to promote the importance of service and giving within your organizations, and influences people to make a change. You've also got to develop another idea, is to develop external strategies that influence people to give within your community. So people outside of your organization can also be involved in the community and using their influence to get them to give. Another idea is communicating effectively in terms of listening internally to your people and listening where they want to give, where they see the organization or institution making the biggest difference. And also listening to the communities themselves. A lot of times businesses come in and tell the community what they should have. And what I've learned recently in a podcast that I was doing recently with someone who is involved in social responsibility efforts in Kenya, is that he was saying a lot of international NGOs come in and tell the community what they need and supply all these resources, and there is no change. And his reason, or what his conclusion was, is the reason that there was no change, no social change, is because the organizations were providing things they didn't need, and they weren't listening to the community. And so that's why listening is so important. One of the other things I would encourage another step for people to take is to really look into and embrace the United Nations Global Compact 17 Sustainable Development Goals. The United Nations Global Compact 20 years ago, under the leadership of Secretary General Kofi Annan, created a goal to encourage corporations in solving global challenges. And so right now there are 17 SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, that have been defined as solutions to create a sustainable world. And I would encourage everyone to look at the UN SDGs and adopt one. There's so many. Creating educational opportunity, closing the economic gaps, dealing with environmental issues is 17, and your company or your business or organization can look into those 17 SDGs and decide which one or ones would be best for your company to engage in. And then lastly, another step I would encourage people to do is to really be in the process of evaluation and iteration. Iteration, the Japanese have a term called kaizen, which is a constant improvement, always improving. So if you're always evaluating and figuring out a better solution, we can all create a society that is good for us all. So with that being said, you have the power through social responsibility to make and lead change. And change, as you know, is a daily process. So I encourage all of us to be the change and lead the change in social responsibility. Stephanie?
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing this with us. The floor is now open for questions. Please put them, I should say the metaphorical floor. Please put any questions or comments or thoughts you may have for Dr. Houston, who can reflect on them or answer questions into the chat box, or feel free to privately message me. I know sometimes people can be a little stage frighty on there. So please feel free to send me a direct message. I did get one during the presentation, which is that it can feel very overwhelming right now. There are so many very challenging issues facing us these days. And you shared some great pointers on where to start in terms of how to think about selecting what might be most impactful for each of us as individuals. But how do we stay committed and stay positive when it can be hard to see progress?
Okay, I heard a speaker the other day saying, the world is really two things, light and darkness, right? And it's social responsibility. We're talking about being the light, right? And so, yes, it can be discouraging because there's so many issues and all of us want to solve all the problems, no doubt. But as a historian, one thing I do know is every little step counts and every little change does make a difference. So I would encourage you to stay encouraged and to know that your good does make a difference, no matter how you choose to measure it or how other people choose to measure it. Your good does make an impact. And I would encourage you to identify where it is you want to make a change and just stay committed to it and see through the fog. Just keep pushing through the fog until we do create the society that we all desire.
Wonderful. Do you have any resources, any suggestions for podcasts or books or publications that people can look to if they're looking for inspiration or places to start with this work?
Well, I am an avid reader, so I don't know where to start with that. For me, I do a range of reading. So on a spiritual level, I read books and listen to people who inspire me spiritually, who are constantly talking about living in the now and doing good now versus other types of philosophies and beliefs. And the fact that all people have power and that we have to tap into our power. So on a spiritual level, that those are the kind of readings I engage in. In terms of a historian who focuses on American history and American race relations, which is one of my topics that I address, I read a lot of history books. And then another is actually being engaged with social responsibility discussions and books that are really moving, trying to inspire people to do good in the community. So those are the different ranges of books that I read. And so it's the topic of social responsibility, my particular topic that I'm interested in addressing, and then those spiritual books that really inspire me.
Great, thank you. Anyone else? Any further thoughts? We have a thank you in the chat box. Any other thoughts or questions?
One thing I would like to I was trying to move to the chat box so I could see it, but one of the things that I would like to know from the audience to maybe help further the questions or the discussions is, what were you expecting to learn about social responsibility? What were you wanting to know about social responsibility? So maybe we can have a discussion about that.
Anyone has any thoughts, please feel free to put them in the chat box for us to reflect on. Seem to have a little bit of a shy bunch this evening, or maybe it's dinner time. We have how to tap into social media and how to use social media as a tool for promoting social responsibility.
So there are several hashtags that are going on right now in terms of social impact and social responsibility. And I would encourage you to engage on social media with those hashtags. Those would be social impact, social responsibility, corporate social responsibility. Those are some of the main ones that you can engage in. And with the hashtag, if you put that hashtag, create a feed for that hashtag, you can see all the discussion that is going on about that particular issue. So that's how you can engage on social media, is through using hashtags.
Looking for motivation from employees within an organization.
Could you repeat that? Stephanie?
Can you hear me?
It paused for a minute.
Oh, am I back?
Yes, you're back now. So
Okay.
can you repeat your last statement?
Yep. So someone who came in looking for motivation from employees within an organization.
I'm not quite sure what the question is. Can you?
That is it verbatim. Maybe how to be motivated as an employee within an organization to push these
Oh,
issues forward.
yeah. So as an employee of an organization, I would encourage you to figure out what the social responsibility vision or mission is of the organization. And if it doesn't have one, present that to your organization. Hey, how about us having a social impact strategy, a mission, vision, and strategy, and then start the conversation and see where it lands. And like I said, most companies, when they look at social impact, they're looking at something that is they're passionate about and related to the business vision, right? So for example, I think it was Home Depot. I think it's Home Depot. I hope I'm not saying the wrong one, but they're actually helping build homes, as a part of their to increase home ownership in the country, so they wouldn't adopt some other kind of strategy that is not related to their business model. So I would encourage you to just begin the conversation in your organization.
Wonderful. Well, as you see, we got an awesome for that one. Dr. Houston has put her contact information up here. Would you like to talk through if people want to stay in touch or learn more from you?
Yeah, they can. This is the place where these are the places where they can contact me. I'm also a podcaster. My podcast is the Empowerment Zone. Would love for you to follow me there. And then also for those of you who are involved in have your own businesses or a part of companies that you need some assistance in developing your social impact strategy, please do contact me. I would love to be a resource for your organization.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us this evening, everyone. Thank you so much to Dr. Houston for sharing her wealth of knowledge. I am feeling inspired to move forward. I hope you all are also feeling inspired to move forward, both within your organizations and in your personal life. So the recording will be out by the end of the week. And thank you again. Have a great evening, everyone.
Thank you for having me.